The wait is almost over. The 2024 NFL season is just a few months away, and we now have the full 17-game slate for your Seattle Seahawks 2024 opponents. We'll go over all the games and predict every single game for your Seattle Seahawks in 2024 coming up on this edition of Seattle Seahawks Today. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for stopping by. If you want the Seahawks to win the NFC West, it's been a moment, folks. Would love to break through and get that division title. Like the video. Don't jinx it. I'm told that if you like today's video, you help the Seahawks' chances of winning the division. You don't believe me? Well, just go ahead and hit the like button anyway. Do your part. Hit the like button for a division title, and we'll get started with today's show. Let's go over the Seahawks' full slate of games first before we reveal our predictions. It begins week 1 against the Denver Broncos. The second time in 3 seasons, the Seahawks will open up their season against Denver. This time, no Russell Wilson involved. Bo Nix expected to be the starting quarterback for the Denver Broncos, their first-round pick out of Oregon, making his return to the Pacific Northwest. Then week 15, or game number 15, that is, September 15th, as the Seahawks take on the New England Patriots. Drake May expected to be the starting quarterback for the New England Patriots, so potentially the Seahawks seeing back-to-back rookie quarterbacks to begin the year. Then on September 22nd, the Seahawks will face two of the Miami Dolphins. That game at home, their second home game of the year. That's followed up by the first primetime matchup as the Seahawks will face the Detroit Lions in Detroit. That's part of a Monday Night Football doubleheader. The game will be seen on ABC, not on ESPN, as they'll have 2 games going on at the same time. And then the following week, the Seahawks will return home to take on the New York Football Giants there at 1:25 p.m. Pacific time on the Tiffany Network. Then the Seahawks will face the San Francisco 49ers for the first time this season. That game will take place on Thursday Night Football, the first of 2 matchups this year on Prime Video. That's followed up after a couple extra off days with a road game against the Atlanta Falcons on October 20th. Then, just prior to Halloween, the Seahawks will welcome Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills to town. A very rare trip for Buffalo to go cross-country to Seattle. Then we see the LA Rams for the first time this year as they'll open up the month of November at home against LA there on November 3rd. On November 17th, the second matchup in a 5-week stretch against the San Francisco 49ers. Coming off the bye week, Seattle will take a trip to Santa Clara for that one. Then on November 24th, the Seahawks will take on the Arizona Cardinals, followed by a road matchup against Aaron Rodgers, the New York Jets, to begin the month of December. That's followed by another matchup against the Arizona Cardinals, 2 times in a 3-week stretch, this one on the road in Glendale. And then it's Aaron Rodgers' former team, the Green Bay Packers, a primetime game on Sunday Night Football on December 15th. We'll see if that game holds. At least for now, it's scheduled to be on Sunday Night Football. There's also the possibility it could be flexed out by then, depending on how the season goes for Seattle and Green Bay. Then, just prior to Christmas, the Seahawks will face the Minnesota Vikings at home, followed by a day after Christmas matchup, Boxing Day, on Prime Video against Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears on the road. And then the Seahawks will wrap up the regular season with a Week 18 matchup against the LA Rams on the road at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. That game's still to be determined, whether it's going to be a Saturday or Sunday game, what network it will be on. We'll find out as we get closer to that matchup. Before we reveal our predictions for every Seahawks game this year, what is your prediction for the Seattle Seahawks' final record in 2024? Weigh in the comment section on our pinned comment today. Let us know what you think. Today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the place to go for daily fantasy made easy. Here's how it works. You choose 2 or more players on any given category. Get the choice of more or less. Whether you are talking rebounds in basketball, birdies in golf, PGA Championship going on right now, goals in hockey, home runs in baseball. I'm looking ahead to the start of the NFL season. I got our guy DK Metcalf to have more than 1,025.5 receiving yards. Lamar Jackson to have more than 3,600.5 passing yards. If both those hit, we put $20 down. Turns into $60 on Prize Picks. Play along with us. PrizePicks.com/SailItS. Promo code SailItS for a $100 deposit match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions do apply. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Download PrizePicks today. You'll be glad you did. Week 1, I have the Seahawks starting off the season with a win against the Denver Broncos. I think Denver is going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL this year. I think the Seahawks should be just fine to start off the season with a W. Then you go cross-country to New England to take on the Patriots, and I think they're also one of the worst teams in the league as well, and it's going to take Drake May some time to adapt. I feel pretty good about the start of the season. There's no reason why the Seahawks shouldn't start off 2024 2-0. Then you take on the Miami Dolphins and all the weapons they have, from Tua to Tyreek to Jalen Waddle and company here. Should be a very good game, but I like the Dolphins' horsepower a little bit more. I think that's the first loss of the season for the Seattle Seahawks comes week 3 after a 2-0 start. I'll say this, though. The Dolphins have some concerns on their defense. If the Seahawks are going to win this game, I think you're going to want to turn it into a shootout of sorts and see if your offense can outduel Miami's offense. But it should be an exciting show between these two teams there. And also something to keep an eye on, too. It's still going to be very hot in Miami at this time of year. The Dolphins coming to Seattle will be a different environment than the Dolphins would be used to at that point in time. So we'll see how much that plays a factor into this one there. Then you play the Lions on Monday Night Football. I know that the Seahawks have won 3 straight against the Detroit Lions. The last two years in Detroit have been instant classics. But Detroit, this is a team that has championship aspirations. They have Super Bowl hopes. Jared Goff, St. Brown and company, they're all back. They've invested well in their defense. To me, that is a tough matchup for Seattle going up against that Detroit team. I think Detroit gets the best of Seattle this time. And so through the first 4 weeks, the Seahawks, you win the first 2 games, but you lose the next 2. You're sitting at 2-2 to begin the season. What will be the Seahawks' toughest opponent this year? Will it be Detroit? Will it be the 49ers? Will it be somebody else? Let us know in the comments section who you believe the toughest matchup will be for Seattle in 2024. We're covering your Seattle Seahawks all season long here on Seahawks Today. We're going to be live for every single game here on the channel. You won't want to miss a moment of it as we bring you our daily news and rumors, watch parties, live shows every Wednesday. Anytime there's breaking news that the Seahawks make a move, whether it's in free agency or a trade, we're going to break it down for you, bring you a video as quick as we can here on the channel. Subscribe now for free. Never miss a moment. Lock us in. YouTube.com/Seahawks TV. Next up, the Seahawks take on the New York Football Giants. The Seahawks have beat the Giants the last 2 seasons. I think they do it again. They end the 2-game skid, get back over 500 with a much-needed win there against New York. Then you take on the San Francisco 49ers at home, a Thursday night game, a short week. The Niners have had the Seahawks number as of late. They're the favorites in the NFC this year, and rightfully so, coming off an NFC title and a Super Bowl appearance. I think that's going to be tough for Seattle with how well the Niners are on both sides of the ball, particularly on the line of scrimmage. That's where San Francisco has owned Seattle the last couple of years. I think that's a loss for Seattle that they lose to the Niners there in week number 6. Week 7, a long trip out to Atlanta to take on the Atlanta Falcons. I like Cousins a lot. I think that offense is going to be very prolific when you're talking about Kyle Pitts and Drake London and company there. I don't feel good about that matchup. A 10 a.m. start back in Seattle, so these guys got to get out of their routine of sorts for this one. I like the Falcons to win that game there, week 7 against the Seahawks there. Then you return home and you take on the Buffalo Bills, and this is what some would call the upset of the year, if you will. I like the Seahawks to beat the Buffalo Bills to end the month of October. After the 2-game losing streak, you come home. Buffalo makes that long trek out to Seattle. I'm selling the Buffalo Bills this year, folks. I think that they are total frauds. I think they lost too much with Diggs and Gabe Davis and company. I've never been a fan of Sean McDermott. My bold prediction of the NFL season this year is that the Bills miss the playoffs and they fire Sean McDermott. I think this is a great opportunity to expose the frauds that are the Buffalo Bills. I like Seattle to get the win there. there in that Week 8 matchup. More to come here on Seahawks Today. We're just close to about halfway through the Seahawks schedule. Who will be the Seahawks MVP this season? Is it Geno? Is it DK, Tyler Lockett, Kenneth Walker, JSN? Is it Devin Witherspoon, Byron Murphy, Rick Wallen? Number of names to choose from. Tell me who you think is going to be the most valuable player on the Seattle Seahawks in 2024. Way in the comment section. Let us know who you think it is. The Rams have had the Seahawks number as of late. They swept the season series last year. I think the Seahawks take care of business, win that one at home, get back-to-back home wins there, defeating Buffalo and Los Angeles. Then you take on the Niners, and I think it's another loss to San Francisco. I need to see it first before I believe. What's the saying? Seeing is believing, right? I'm not going to pick the Seahawks to beat the Niners until they do it themselves, because the Niners have just owned Seattle as of late. Hope I'm wrong, but I think the Niners get the season sweep on Seattle there and win that one there in San Francisco. You take on the Arizona Cardinals on November 24th. I think that's a win against that Arizona Cardinals team. I think the Seahawks match up well with that Cardinals offense. I know they added Marvin Harrison Jr., and they had a very good draft, but I think the Seahawks are going to be okay there. Then you go to MetLife to take on the New York Jets. And the Jets, to me, are a very interesting team. Aaron Rodgers, we'll see if he's still healthy at that point in time. They've loaded up on that team with Garrett Wilson and some of the other weapons that are there. I really like Breece Hall a lot. I don't think that's a great matchup for Seattle taking on the New York Jets there December 1st. I'll go with New York to win that game there. So I want to know, folks, I'm very curious, what is your bold prediction for the Seattle Seahawks this season? Who is somebody that they're going to beat they're not supposed to? Who's somebody they're going to lose to that they're not supposed to? Maybe it's a player that goes off this season. Give me your bold prediction in the comments section of what you have in mind for your Seattle Seahawks in 2024. You play the Cardinals twice in 3 weeks, as we mentioned. I think the Seahawks get the season sweep of Arizona there and win that one in Phoenix. I'm not worried about playing on the road in that matchup. Not a hostile environment at all. The Seahawks did sweep the Cardinals last year. You play the Packers. I think the Packers are going to be very good this year. Had a lot of momentum at the end of the year. Won a playoff game. Could have beat the Niners there in that divisional round game. I like the Green Bay Packers to win that matchup. Sunday Night Football, Jordan Love, I think, is going to take another step forward. That defense should be greatly improved. I like the addition of Josh Jacobs there. I think the Packers are going to be a better team than Seattle is in 2024. You wrap up your final 3 games. I think the Vikings, that should be a solid win. The Vikings, we'll see if they're playing Sam Darnold or J.J. McCarthy at that point in time. That defense is atrocious. The Vikings have a lot of problems. I think the Vikings take a significant step back in 2024. Chicago Bears. Now, this is where we talk about games you're supposed to win and games you're supposed to lose. I think every year you have to pencil in a game you're not supposed to win that you take care of business. For me, that's the Buffalo game. And a game you're not supposed to lose that you lose. It's the nature of the business that happens sometimes. For me, that loss this year is the Chicago Bears. It's a road game. It's a Thursday night. Caleb Williams is going to be near the end of his rookie season at this point in time. He should be well polished at that point. I got the Bears winning that one. And then Week 18 against the LA Rams on the road, I'm going with the Seahawks to pull off the victory, to finish off the regular season there against the LA Rams. We'll see what date the game ends up being, the date and time. But I think that the Seahawks match up well with this Rams team. No Aaron Donald anymore to worry about, thank goodness. The Rams, they're a bit of an older squad now. Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford. How many of those guys are still going to be available when it comes Week 18? I'll go with the Seahawks. So with that said, all 17 games, all 18 weeks, I think it's a 9-8 record for the third straight year for your Seattle Seahawks. I think that is a realistic prediction for this team. You would love to get 10 or 11 wins. I think you'd be feeling great if Mike Macdonald can get this team over the hump and get to 10 or 11 wins, but it's going to be tough to get there. I go 9-8, a winning record, a borderline playoff team. We'll see if it's good enough to get in or not. The last 2 seasons, they were 9-8, and the first go-round, it was good enough to make the playoffs. Last year, they were on the outside and just barely missed it. What is your final record for the Seattle Seahawks in 2024? Let us know in the comments section. Get your predictions in, and we will see you next time right here on Seahawks Today.